This video is presented by mybookie.ag. What's up, guys? Here are my predictions for UFC Fight Night 175 happening in Jacksonville, Florida. Again, the card is actually not that bad. There's a lot of fighters on the card that you are familiar with and some pretty interesting prospects put up against veterans on this card, such as Hunter Azure versus Brian Kelleher, Gabriel Benitez versus Omar Morales, Michael Johnson versus Thiago Moises, but we are going to start with Alexander Hernandez versus Drew Dober. Drew Dober is going to have the experience factor coming into this one, and I think it's actually going to be a pretty big factor. Now, I will say Hernandez is the better wrestler. He's more credentialed and more experienced in that field, and he's translated very well to MMA. He was able to out-wrestle, out-grapple Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who is a very notable grappler. And doing it at such a young age, Alex Hernandez is still very young in his MMA career, so he's only going to get better. His striking is still not that polished. He throws wild strikes. He steps into positions where it gets him caught, such as the Donald Cerrone fight. And fighting a guy like Drew Dober, it's really going to put him in a lot of danger as long as it stays on the feet, because Drew Dober, even though he has had a rocky career in the UFC, he is very experienced, and finally now he's actually hitting a noticeable peak in his skills. His last win against Nasrat Haqparast is probably his most impressive performance in his entire career. Haqparast was widely regarded to be the next prospect of the lightweight division, and Drew Dober shows some really technical boxing, and Drew Dober overall is a very well-rounded fighter. He has good grappling, good wrestling, he's extremely strong, he has a massive weight advantage, and the fact that Hernandez is a wrestler and not that much of a striker, Dober's a much more technical striker, the weight is actually going to play against Hernandez. So ultimately, my prediction for this fight, I am going to go with Drew Dober. And it's very interesting, Drew Dober is actually a slight favorite according to my bookie. I actually think it's a little bit more than that, but I can understand it. Again, he's too powerful, he's too quick with his hands, Hernandez moves too much, he does too much with his footwork, where he gets himself to run into strikes. Even when he's switching, he throws a lot of power shots, and that's not going to be able to get to Drew Dober. Dober has really good counter punching as well, amazing leg kicks, and again, Hernandez is going to have a hard time getting it to the ground and keeping it there. So I'm going to go Drew Dober. I'm actually going to go by a decision, but I will not be shocked if Dober carries on this impressive streak and finishes Hernandez. And then we go to the co-main event, Ben Rothwell versus St Preux. St Preux is going up to heavyweight, and he actually weighed in at 240.5 pounds. Huge, right? He's as big as most of the heavyweights, but he's going to be massively outsized by Ben Rothwell. Rothwell is one of the guys in the heavyweight division that always has to cut to 265. So it is a bit of an X factor. How is OSP going to compete in the heavyweight division? The added on weight, he has to have more power, right? He was very powerful in the 205-pound division, but how much power is he actually going to have? He's going to have a speed advantage as well. I don't think he's going to be able to take down Ben Rothwell. Even if it gets down there, I know OSP is a very good Von Flue choke. He has very unorthodox submissions, and he's awkward wherever it goes down there in the scrambling. Ben Rothwell is extremely capable. We're talking about the guy who submitted Josh Barnett, who was on his own run, submitted him with a secret 10-finger choke that nobody wants to talk about. So I will say OSP probably will have the power advantage or the more lethal striking. They are both extremely awkward on the feet. They do things very differently. Ben Rothwell takes the parallel stance a lot, and he never really throws 100% punches, if you notice. His arms are never cocked back. They're actually kind of like leaning forward at all times, and he just like slaps you with these punches. Even though he's not power punching the entire time, he has high volume for a heavyweight. 3.9 significant strikes landed per minute. So I wonder if that's going to be able to disrupt some of the angles that OSP tries to take. But the thing about OSP is he doesn't move. Rothwell being the bigger man, he's also going to be the more elusive guy or the more mobile fighter. He moves way more than OSP does. I don't know if OSP is going to change his approach, because it's going to be tough to fight Ben Rothwell face to face, power for power, and just going back and forth with him, because even though he might have more power going up to heavyweight, Rothwell has an insane chin. I mean, we're talking about one of the best chins to ever be displayed in the UFC. So going back and forth with the guy is probably not going to be the best thing, because OSP has been knocked out before. He has been knocked out viciously a few times in his career. I don't know if he's going to be able to take that. So will he actually go for the takedown? Will he get caught into a guillotine or some choke from Ben Rothwell? But my prediction for this fight, it's really tough. I go back and forth. Even now I'm going to go with Ben Rothwell. The reason I'm going to go with Ben Rothwell is St Preux is not a fast fighter. He doesn't move around. Again, Rothwell's going to have better footwork if he wants to actually use it like he did against Alistair Overeem and some other guys in the past. St Preux is beyond plodding, and he wings his punches, right? And I don't think he's going to get the takedown, so he's going to be in front of the bigger man the entire fight. And if he gets backed up to the cage, he's absolutely going to get TKO'd. And even if he lands, again, I don't know the power that OSP has at heavyweight. He might be super powerful, we just don't know. Even if he hits Ben Rothwell with the power that we know he has, he's not going to be able to put the guy away. And Rothwell throws back. He trades with you if you hit him. He's not a guy who gets hit and backs away unless he's rocked. If you hit him, he stays in the pocket with you and he usually wins. So I'm going to go with Ben Rothwell and I'm going to go by a 3rd round TKO. My bookie has St Preux as actually a favorite, probably trusting his chances, going up to heavyweight, being the theoretically faster fighter, more athletic. And yes, Rothwell is coming off 1 win and 2 losses prior, but St Preux is not doing as well either. So I kind of question that, to be honest. And now we go to the main event. Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira. 2 former title challengers. 2 guys trying to get back up to eventually fight John Jones or Dominic Reyes, whoever has the belt at the time. And it's between young and old, although Anthony Smith has more fights in MMA than Glover Teixeira. He's been fighting for a very long time, but he's only getting better. And that's the thing. When you look at the trajectory of their careers and their skills, Anthony Smith is going up while Glover Teixeira is going down. Just looking at their technical abilities, Anthony Smith has more talent, right? He's way more talented. He's way more athletic. His striking, I believe, is better. Glover Teixeira has a problem with uppercuts, upward attacks, kind of just ducks his head into those. But although he is pretty good at blocking punches, blocking hooks, and stuff like that, but Anthony Smith, on the other hand, is extraordinary at getting his punches behind the guard. You saw that against Shogun Rua. I think you saw also against Rashad Evans. His punches come out very long. Even though they have the same reach, Anthony Smith digs in a lot more. So his reach is going to be a little bit more magnified when it actually comes to the punches they throw. But he just doesn't want to trade off with Glover because Glover still has that one-shot knockout power. He has very heavy hands. They're like cinder blocks, right? When he hits them, people get crushed. Anthony Smith is more of a sniper. He picks at you from a distance and pinpoints his targets. But ultimately, Glover Teixeira doesn't have the same chin. He's a bit older. He's not going to be able to take the same kind of punishment. So I can see him getting dropped early by Anthony Smith. It depends how Anthony Smith comes out there. But if he starts throwing his hands like he did against Shogun Rua from a distance, I don't think Glover can do anything about it. The thing that Glover has to do, he cannot stay on the feet. On the feet, he's going to get torn apart. He has to go wrestling. He doesn't want to get frozen up on the feet. Punches are coming too quick, movements too quick, and he's kind of a deer in the headlights and then gets knocked out. Takedowns right away. Maybe throw a jab, takedown. That has to be a strategy. He has the superior grappling gear, superior Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's a superior wrestler as well. Anthony Smith does not have good takedown defense. That aspect alone makes it a tough fight for Anthony Smith, right? It makes it harder to pick. At face value, it looks like Smith got this fight in the bag. But it's just that if he gets taken down, he's very capable, but he's nothing compared to Glover. Even today, Glover is very heavy on top. He has great ground and pound. He's really good at controlling the opponent. He's very good at passing into half guard. And he has a nasty guillotine choke if it ever gets to a scrambling position, which Anthony Smith loves to do. Smith likes to go for the high guard and try to reverse the positions and stuff like that rather than just stand up. And that plays right into Glover's game. So my prediction for this fight, I'm going to go with Anthony Smith, but I can absolutely see Glover getting that double leg under the punch, under some committed, long extended punch, and eventually he probably gets a submission or dominates the fight through there. I just think the combinations, the speed and footwork of Anthony Smith is going to cause too much damage. So I'm going to go with Anthony Smith. I'm going to go by a 3rd round TKO. And according to my bookie, Anthony Smith is actually a pretty big favorite. To be expected, nothing shocking there. Now it's a cool down card from the one we had on Saturday, but it's a very busy week. 3 fight cards give you a lot of opportunities, especially when it comes to betting with mybookie.ag. In MMA, the UFC is still one of the only sports running in the world today. So you can bet the house that everybody will be watching. Submissions, knockouts, decisions, and every other type of bet that you can possibly ask for, MyBookie has it all. Start off small or swing for the fences by taking advantage of this quick turnaround card to win some quick cash at MyBookie. Again, we talk about Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira. Teixeira absolutely has an opportunity to win this fight, and he's quite a big underdog. Ben Rothwell is an underdog even though he's part of the division that the smaller man's coming up to. And some of the aspects of that fight actually favor him. A lot of opportunities on this card. And remember, if you want to bet little but potentially win a lot, you can try a parlay. Pick a lineup of multiple competitors that you believe is going to win, and if they all pull through, you multiply your winnings. All you have to do is sign up right now, go to mybookie.ag and use the promo code WEASEL, that's WEASLE, and they'll match your first deposit halfway all the way up to $1,000. For an example, if you put in $100, they'll spot you $50. So you're basically getting free money to play with just for supporting the show. Just go to mybookie.ag, you bet, you win, and most importantly, when you win, you get paid. Just stay safe and stay sane from the comfort of your home. Now, looking at the odds here, again, there's going to be some interesting odds because there's a lot of young fighters versus the older, experienced versus inexperienced, and that puts things in a bit of confusion for a lot of this. First one that catches my eye is Sijara Eubanks versus Sarah Morris, because even though I think Eubanks is going to win, almost a 4-1 favorite is crazy. That's crazy because Eubanks is still relatively untested. She doesn't have a lot of experience. Morris has actually more experience, and Eubanks doesn't have the greatest cardio. If she starts gassing out and Morris gets on top and lands some of those ground and pound shots, it's going to be tough for Eubanks. Although, again, I do think Eubanks is going to win. I just think the odds are crazy on that one. Andrei Arlovski is actually an underdog against Felipe Lins. Again, Arlovski has a lot of experience, and I understand he's not doing too hot in his career. He just got knocked out by Rosenstrike, but he beat Ben Rothwell prior to that. And Felipe Lins, he's pretty slow. He doesn't advance forward. He's not known for his knockout power. So he's going to play a technical game, back and forth game with Andrei Arlovski. I think Arlovski has a chance of winning that. And then Ricky Simon is actually quite a big favorite over Ray Borg. Here's the thing, man. Ray Borg's a much better grappler, much better wrestler. He's more experienced. Simon is coming off a pretty bad knockout against Uriah Faber. He's a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's going to be a tough go for Ricky Simon, and I'm surprised he's actually that big of a favorite. I can understand a slight because Borg hasn't been doing too great, but he's been doing better than Simon, right? Simon is coming off a loss, while Ray Borg's on a 2-fight win streak. And everything else I pretty much agree with. So I hope you guys enjoyed the predictions. If you did, make sure to thumbs up. If you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.